AITA for distancing myself from my triplet sisters and family, after years of feeling left out anyway. I'm a 19-year-old woman and part of a set of triplets. That might sound like a built-in friendship from birth, a rare and special bond people envy. But in my case, being a triplet meant always feeling like an outsider looking in. You see, my sisters are identical twins. I'm the fraternal triplet, the odd one out from day one, genetically, physically, emotionally, and practically. Even as infants, our differences were emphasized more than our shared bond. My parents gave my sisters matching names, think something like Leela and Lily, while I got a completely different sounding name, say Autumn. They were dressed in coordinated outfits, bows, dresses, the whole matchy aesthetic, while I was always dressed differently, like a tack-on. I remember flipping through family photo albums and noticing a trend. Plenty of photos of my sisters together, looking like little mirror images, and then me sometimes included, sometimes not. If there were individual portraits, they had theirs side by side like a theme, while mine looked like an afterthought. It didn't take long to figure out the narrative. At school and in public, we were never introduced as the triplets. Instead, people would gush over the twins, then ask, "Who's that?" when I stood next to them. "Oh, that's their sister," someone would explain, as if I were a cousin tagging along, as if I weren't part of the same birth story. It hurt, a lot more than people realize. I tried to bring it up over the years. My parents always brushed it off. "You're being silly. We love all of you equally." But love isn't always loud enough to drown out what's unspoken, and actions speak louder anyway. My sisters, too, would wave it off. "It's not our fault we're identical." Or they'd tell me I was being overly sensitive. I don't think they meant to be cruel, but that indifference was a kind of cruelty. They called each other twin like a nickname. They had matching phone cases, inside jokes, a little sign language they made up when we were kids. I was Autumn, just there. Some of their friends would tease me good-natured, they'd claim, calling me the bonus sibling, or the other one. One even joked I was probably adopted. I laughed it off for a long time, but deep down it chipped away at something. I tried so hard to embrace the triplet identity. I was proud of it. I used to correct people, "Actually, we're triplets." But after a while I just stopped. It was exhausting to defend a connection nobody else seemed to care about, even my sisters. They only seemed to remember I was part of their set when it benefited them, like when people wanted to meet the triplets or take pictures of us as a novelty. Suddenly I was needed, but only as a prop. Before graduation I made one last attempt. I sat my family down and tried to explain how isolated I felt growing up. I didn't yell. I wasn't angry. I just needed to be heard. It didn't go well. They laughed, literally laughed. "Where is this even coming from?" my dad asked. "Don't be dramatic," my mom added. My sisters rolled their eyes. I tried to say more, but they talked over me, told me to let it go, that I was included, that I was loved. But it never felt like love, not the kind that sees you, hears you, chooses you. We graduated. My sisters picked a college together, same dorm, same major, same everything. I chose my own path. A different college, a different city. They didn't include me in college prep talks, never asked what I was planning. It was like I ceased to exist outside the occasional family group chat, which they barely responded to unless I messaged first. So I stopped trying. And you know what? Away from them I started to breathe. At college, I met people who didn't see me as the other one. I made friends who laughed at my jokes, asked how I was doing, invited me to things because they wanted me there. It was liberating and healing in a way I never expected. For Christmas, I stayed with my grandparents. It was peaceful. I didn't miss home. Not really. And now, this summer, I'm living with a close friend and working. We're both saving up for a trip together, something I never would have imagined doing just a year ago. A few weeks ago, my family realized I wasn't coming home for summer. Suddenly, they're reaching out. "When are you coming home?" My sisters texted asking why I hadn't called or messaged. I said, "Why didn't you?" Their response, "You always do that stuff." Exactly. I told them I was done doing all the work in this relationship, that I spent years being sidelined, unheard, dismissed, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt just because they're finally paying attention now. Now they're calling me childish, telling me I'm being weird, that I'm distancing myself from the triplet bond, that I'm throwing away something special. And maybe I am. But what they're calling a bond always felt more like a performance to me. Suddenly, I'm getting texts nearly every day, more than I ever did growing up. But not because they miss me, they miss the idea of the trio. They miss the image, not the girl who was always quietly hurting inside it. I know this probably sounds strange to some. I've heard people say twins and triplets often feel trapped by their identity, that they want space, individuality. But I was never given that problem. I was the space. I was the separation. And I would have given anything to feel what it's like to be part of something instead of orbiting around it. So yeah, I've chosen distance. I've chosen peace. I've chosen to be someone whole on my own, not just a shadow of a twin set. So AITA,